Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Second video of the day. It's Monday, there is news to be covered. We can move on from the FA Cup final. I spoke about it a little bit in today's earlier video, where I talk a little bit more in detail about Rudiger's Chelsea exit, my thoughts on that, some questions that have come up to me at least regarding that. So check that video if you want to see it. Today, we're going to talk Marc Cucurella, Brighton's left back. Very exciting player in my opinion. Ivan Perisic, that name's been ringing around for a few years. Robert Lewandowski, I made a bold statement a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden, it looks progressively more potential, as in more, it could happen. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk Jimenez and Chelsea's centre-back targets. But first of all, I want to talk a little bit about Ivan Perisic, Croatia's Perisic, who really did give me a horrible time in Moscow in 2018. I was there when England were knocked out of the World Cup, and Ivan Perisic was the guy. And it feels like Ivan Perisic has been a footballer for longer than I've actually been born, to be honest. And he's a free agent this summer. Inter Milan are reportedly trying to keep hold of Perisic, from what I understand. But at the same time, Perisic might be looking at it thinking, well, why not go somewhere else? Now, the reason why I talk about Perisic is because, off the top of my head, it seems a bit odd. Because why would Chelsea go out and get Perisic, who's an ageing winger, when we've already got 6 or 7 players competing for those positions already who are a lot younger? We don't need to spend any money on them other than wages. But like we've said in many Chelsea news videos in recent weeks, there is a very strong possibility that this summer, despite Chelsea's priorities being centre-back, CDM roles, there is a very strong likelihood that some of the wingers that are currently at the club, or attack-minded players, could well be on the move this summer for 2 reasons. They want more game time. Chelsea and Tuchel don't rate them as part of the long-term plan. Boehly, big summer ahead. Maybe we want to do a big clear out and bring in the kind of players that Thomas Tuchel wants to start building what Jurgen Klopp has successfully built at Liverpool, what Pep Guardiola has successfully built at Manchester City. And I think that that is the vision that Boehly might have. And I want to carry that kind of positive outlook into all of these things here. With Ivan Perisic, what I find very interesting is that, of course, he's known as an attacking winger, but is there the potential that Perisic could be used in more of a wing-back role? We know how good he is going forward. As he gets older, is the wing-back role something that he can potentially grow into a bit more? We've seen it before from him. But at the same time, I just wonder about this one as to whether or not going for a free agent simply because it's a free agent is kind of missing the point. Perisic does bring quality, but once more, he's an aging player. So unless he's being seen as more of an all-rounder, can go in an attacking sense, can play in a slightly more defensive wing-back role, unless that's the goal, or Thomas Tuchel is saying, I want Ivan Perisic, it's a good free sign-in, then I've still got a lot of questions about this one, to be honest. And I think a lot of it depends also on which one or two of the attackers will be leaving the club this summer, because there are characteristics that Tuchel would want to replace. I think there are certain characteristics about, let's say, Hakim Ziyech, the ability to cut in on that left foot, something that we've not seen enough this season, but that's very difficult to replace if you want to build around a Hakim Ziyech, if you want to build around the industry, the movement, the directness of a Christian Pulisic, then, well, Christian Pulisic needs to continue to consistently perform at the level that we know he can. Perisic, he's been at the top level for a long time. Thomas Tuchel could be looking at him as a potential player with a bit less risk involved. If it's free, and we can make some money from some of those players who are inconsistent, the club balance the books, we get to spend money in other areas, it could end up being a smart transfer. We move into what I believe would be an incredibly smart piece of business from Chelsea. Brighton's left back, Marc Cucurella. Now, Cucurella is a player who this season has absolutely shone in the Premier League. I would go as far as to say that other than a Robertson Cancelo, he's probably top 3 left-sided wing-back full-backs in the Premier League this season. He's a fantastic player. And it's been reported by Nizar Kinsella and a couple of other journalists too that Thomas Tuchel has long been an admirer of Cucurella. And speaking of Tuchel, I'd speak for myself as well. I think Cucurella's a fantastic player. He's a dogged defender, very intelligent with his running. He likes to go super wide on the outside, can also cut inside as well and kind of operate in those channel areas, but still with the kind of speed to get back. He's very technical on the ball too. He's got good passing range in him as well. And I think Brighton this season have been one of those teams where there's a lot to be said for the way that Graham Potter has tactically set them up. You've got Tariq Lamptey on the right-hand side, Cucurella on the left. And I think for Chelsea, Cucurella is the perfect Marcus Alonso replacement. It's been heavily reported that Alonso is very likely to go back to Spain this summer. Ben Chilwell has been out injured all season. You never know with those kind of injuries. Maybe something, hopefully, touch wood, wooden table by the way, hopefully nothing gets reinvigorated or re-injured at the beginning of next season, but Chilwell is going to need to be eased back in to regular playing time. And Chelsea will need a Marcus Alonso kind of player where, even though he's inconsistent, even though he tells the manager to F off in Spanish, I think it's taken off at half-time in a home game against bloody Wolverhampton Wanderers, Chelsea are going to need somebody. And the question is, does Cucurella look at Chelsea and think, well, Chilwell's their number one. Do I want to come there and be number two? Or is Cucurella coming in potentially, not really seen this so much at Brighton, but could we end up seeing Cucurella in at left centre-back, potentially? He's not the tallest, but at the same time, Chelsea, if they can't bring in their top targets, who, by the way, the next story, Jimenez from Atletico Madrid, as if you haven't heard this one before. Jimenez and Koundé, supposedly Chelsea's top two targets. We have been reportedly linked with Koulibaly. We have been linked with the likes of Wesley Fofana. We have now been linked with Jimenez from Atletico Madrid again. Great defender. Atletico Madrid have been asking for stupendous sums of money in the past, but could we see Cucurella come in? I think it's a brilliant, brilliant option for Chelsea. If it's the reported fee of around 30 million quid, I think that's a bargain for a player of that kind of quality. Premier League proven. He's already done it this season. I think it would be a very good signing. Let me know your thoughts on Cucurella in the comments down below. As I said, Chelsea linked with Jimenez again. We rinsed this one about 2 years ago, I think, on GBFC. Good quality centre-back for sure. My only concern is what we'd have to pay Atletico Madrid to bring him in, with Jules Koundé being a reported long-term target, who Tuchel wants as well. We know that it's not going to be as much as it was last season, but we still want to have money left over to invest in other areas too. The final story of the day. This one is bloody interesting, you know, because Robert Lewandowski has confirmed that he will be leaving Bayern Munich this summer. Robert Lewandowski, during his whole time at Bayern Munich, has been a sensational footballer. His goal-scoring record is up there with the Ronaldos, the Messis, the Benzemas, the Salahs. Lewandowski is top level. And I think because of how his physical build is, I think it would not be stupid or foolish to believe that Lewandowski could still have 3 or 4 maybe top years in the game. Look at Olivier Giroud. Look at Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Lewandowski is a very similar kind of build player to that, but we're talking about a level here that has just been at an astronomical level for so long. Lewandowski will not be signing a new deal at Bayern Munich. It was said by yours truly a couple of weeks ago that I think that Lewandowski could end up or will end up signing for Chelsea. And I do believe this. And I believed it before, but I believe it even more now. The reason I believed it before is because Lukaku, his agent has said there'll be conversations had with Chelsea this summer about what Romelu's role is going to be. Lewandowski wants a new challenge. Barcelona, heavily linked as well. Probably the most likely destination for Lewandowski to go. But if Lukaku doesn't get what he wants in reassurances, which it'd be very difficult for Thomas Tuchel to actually give an absolute assertive reassurance to Lukaku that, yeah, you're the number 9, you're the number 1 striker, and you will be playing week in, week out next season. Because even though Havertz's recent form's been poor, Kai Havertz has done a great job in that area. Lukaku's been flip-flopping all season. So if Bayern are interested in Romelu Lukaku, Chelsea have already really accepted that if Lukaku's going to leave, we're going to make a significant loss on the player. Surely it makes sense. Lukaku ends up at Bayern Munich. Robert Lewandowski could then end up coming to Chelsea, and that deal, with Bayern's interest in obviously having to try and replace Lewandowski. How many strikers are there now that Erling Haaland's a Manchester City player? How many strikers are there can Bayern Munich significantly look at who can go in and do what Lewandowski has done? The number is not very high. They could look at a Darwin Núñez from Benfica, but that seems like a big risk to me. And can Bayern Munich afford to do that? I don't think they can, because Lewandowski is so important to that Bayern team that now he's not going to stay there. They're going to have to invest and they're going to have to bring in an elite striker. And despite Lukaku's season, and I've defended him recently, I even made a video about it a couple of days ago, solely defending Romelu Lukaku. You've got to use a bit of realistic logic here and think that this is not actually that stupid of an idea. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Robert Lewandowski could end up being a Chelsea player this summer. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. People rinsed the idea when I put it on Twitter a few weeks ago. It was a very popular tweet. It got seen about 5 million times. But yeah, I think it could happen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on all of the Chelsea news stories today. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you all tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.